So, ladies and gentlemen, bearing in mind that we are currently sat on a starting soon screen, yes, I am talking from the shadows. That's right. There's a reason we're yapping without the face on screen right now, folks, and that's because somebody's been in the jungle, all right? And I'm not talking about the podcast with all the green scenery. Somebody's been in there with the tools tinkering about with this startup procedure. And I'm pretty sure that they've taken over, okay? So much so that I don't even know what's happening anymore. So let me introduce you to the new introduction for Welcome to Arena Podcast. This week, it's APAC Battlepass Bonanza with the Aussie boys, but oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. We're back. Welcome in to the Welcome to Arena podcast. My name is Correct Wisdom, and this evening I am joined by three legends from the APAC scene. Originally Antic Exodium, now just 3 of 5 wandering men. Okay, they've stepped out of the arena scene for a couple of hours this evening to come and enlighten us to their perspective on what's going inside of the game and what their initial thoughts are on some of the fresh stuff that has been dropped given this patch that we've had this morning, as well as the Battle Pass being released. So first, but not foremost, and absolutely not going to be the least, seeing as how we've got 3 guests tonight, let's talk to one of our first guests, introducing Grassy OCE, okay, the main man, the myth, and the legend himself that wears the cereal bowl bucket on his head to protect from all that wonderful wisdom running away from him. That's right. Grassy, introduce yourself, say hello to the folks, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Pleasure to be here, Cracked, and really thankful for this opportunity. I mean, being in the APAC region it's a little rough. We don't get recognized as much, so you're really doing us good job here, getting us known. So I appreciate it. I don't know what to say. I've been playing Arena since it came out. Started off as a little trash bag, not very good. Just kept playing. What can I say? Didn't have much main game experience when I started, but really just the arena itself was really fun. I just kept playing.
How many years have you been playing for? Has it been a little while now you've been playing Arena? Are you just sort of dipping the toes in the water, or would you consider yourself a seasoned vegetable right now?
Seasoned vegetable on arena, but definitely just a vegetable on main game.
Okay,
Yes.
fair. Yeah, that's a valid point. It's a valid point. And ladies and gentlemen, obviously, Grassy, one of the 3 members that's joining us tonight, okay, got one of those wonderful icons you can see there in the picture above me, all right, to represent himself on the socials. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, all 3 of these gentlemen here will be sharing their socials throughout the podcast this evening for you guys to be able to drop by and check in on them, okay? If you're not sure how to reach the guys, well, today is your route to being able to find the problem to the cause, all right? We're going to give you all of those links so that should you want to know what's going on in the APAC region and see what that really cool mask that's that side of my screen is looking like and doing inside of Arena, then you can follow this man and you can go check out his gameplay. As well as Grassy tonight, we're joined by 2 other legends. We've got the one that's going to be in my opposite corner of the screen, okay? He's up in this top corner here. This is Mr. False Saint. He's also joining us from the original Antic Exodium squad, now one of the Wanderers. Mr. Saint, not so false, definitely present tonight. How are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad, correct. Thanks. Yeah, good.
Enjoyed Arena a lot. How long have you played? Talk to us a little bit about your experience with Arena and where you came from.
All right. I've got about 1,700 to 1,800 hours in Arena across a couple of accounts. I'm the current IGL for a team called Five Fellas, previously AXO. We won the most recent APAC HPL. What else? I've coached a few teams. I helped coach New Dawn during the NAHPL run, and I'm the highest rated APAC player of all time at 1,600 ARP in WAP 1.
That's one heck of a claim, isn't it? That's a good claim to be having out on the top there. And I think we'll introduce our next guest for tonight's show to sort of back that up with a question. Sparksy, working alongside this man in a team and an IGL there, not too much to say. A man of choice words, few words, but very deliberate. Very IGL-esque, would you not say?
Well, I'm actually not part of AXO or Five Fellas. I'm in Team Parallax at the moment. But yeah, these guys have been the top dogs in our region for a while now. And I'm kind of semi-recent to the competitive scene. But yeah, ever since my team that came up and coming against these guys, it's always been a little bit annoying.
So, ladies and gentlemen, like Sparksy was saying, Parallax, the team that, I mean, talk to me a little bit about Parallax then. Who have you got that runs alongside you on that squad? And would you consider the five fellas to be the dogs that you're looking to try and knock off a peg when it comes to the competitive scene at this moment? Or is there another team you have maybe in your mind that maybe challenges you at this moment in time?
So with Parallax, originally I was just invited, and I had a team captain. His name was Peter, but he actually left. He actually left the arena scene, so he actually asked me to take over, and had a couple of teammates stay with us, and then we've picked up like just a few new players, and we have our own little league in OCE. It's called OAL, and this season we've got 2 new players that are like trying out, and they're pretty good, and we're getting better as a team. We're still kind of like fresh in on it. These guys have been playing the game forever, and it feels like they just read everything. So we're learning. It's always good having a tougher opponent. But yeah, we got these new lads, and the comms are getting better and getting some strats out. And it's actually kind of good to like work up to something, you know. So yeah, I will say, yeah, we might get a game depending on the day. That would be good.
I can see False saying
Don't
up in
shake
the
your head,
top
False.
corner there. Yeah, you can already, a little twitch. He's like, no, no big ideas here just yet, sunshine. There's a long way to climb before you can start knocking at the top dogs on the tower. But it's a good thing to aspire to, right? I'm sure False saying and Grassy, you guys up there will be unintentionally and coincidentally represented on the screen above this man at the moment. I'm sure you're sitting quite comfortably up there in the high mountains at the top, just waving down. But I'm sure also you always look forward to a challenge to come, right? It's good to see other teams grinding up from the bottom, so you guys have something to compete against. Because I have had some opinions from competitive experience where if there's one top dog that's just constantly up there, that team gets very demotivated quite easily because it's very hard to push yourself when you're not being pushed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing about being the top team, and there's quite a gap between us and the next team. I'd say it's quality of scrim partners. When you don't really learn, when you're not being challenged, if you 9-0 every scrim, you're not learning holes in your strategy because no one's really competing. So definitely.
Good to have the challenge up there. Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you now know who we've got on the bench for tonight. So without further ado, let's take Grassy OCE, False Saint, and Sparksy on a journey into the knowledge, right, into the Grand Wisdom's library. And let's talk about it, okay? Let's really talk about what's going on inside of the scene in Arena right now, because things have changed. And we don't say that very lightly. And also, we as a community don't take to changing very well, very lightly either. I'll be honest with you, us Tarkovians can be very much stuck in our ways and frustrated about the change and don't adapt to it this much. The one thing I will say is the APAC region definitely is one of the instigators to that creativity. I like to think that your scene has a good mentality when it comes to weapon choices and what the meta is or what the meta could not be. I find that your guys play with a very open-minded perspective that until it really is drilled in, somebody puts you down with an Ash 12, 16 games in a row, you're like, okay, all right, fair enough. It's a problem now. We get it. We have to acknowledge this. But I think you also would agree with me that comfort, shall we say, Grassy, for example, comfort weapon choices in Arena is a very big thing because I think a lot of high-tier pros would say you can actually decide a lot more of the game by being very good at the game rather than winning a lot more of your scenarios by being very good with a gun. Make sense?
Yeah, funny you mentioned the kit variations in our region because that is a big thing, I reckon. We're talking about this before we came on about we're looking at some of the ammo costs and stuff, and we're like, you can run a spear, and we're struggling to get more than 2 mags for the meta cost of the bullets. But in our region, we often run AK-12. It's been a staple in a lot of assault kits. We find that very strong, and it's quite cheap in all honesty. And you can run a lot of ammo. So that really, we're just confused, and we're going, these balance changes, as good as they are, they need to be maybe tweaked a little further. And I'm interested to see if other regions will start picking up like that guns like the AK-12 and stuff that have that cheap ammo but still perform really well that we've been using for a long time.
I want to talk on that actually, and I'll offer it to Grassy first, but we'll go round the table on this one. Do you think that the changes are more heavily weighted towards parts on the gun or towards the ammo right now? And which do you think is the bit that's more expensive? Because I'm noticing a common trend is the ammo is expensive, but I feel like it's as expensive as it was. Whereas a kitted gun now is way more expensive than it was. Like I've had people show me the difference between 3 parts on an MCX, and it's nearly 1,500 points with the difference for 2 recoil and 5 ergo. That's a lot of points. That is a lot of points. So, because the Ash 12 you build cheap, right? You barely put anything on it. Similar argument for the AUG. Similar argument for your VSS. Similar argument for your SR3M. Similar argument for your AK-12. Arguably, you put a lot of things on the AK-12, but they don't cost much. So, thoughts? Bullets too expensive, parts too expensive. To the table. Grassy first.
I think it. This is a tricky one because as much as we played as soon as the update came out, we didn't really look at those like the cost of the attachments. But one thing I did notice is the guns were very expensive, and that obviously just the base of the gun, and then you're putting all those attachments on the top, and then you're struggling. That adds to your MP score total for that. I forget what they call it, but like the combat MP total, and that I think is where you're then struggling to get the ammo on top of it on some of the kits. But it's not the case on every gun. It's just like the AK-12, a full built one, is almost as much as like a stock spear, if I'm not mistaken, could be. But
yep, about 100, 120, 130 odd points of difference. It's not much, but it's in a guns term, it's hairs worth of a difference, right? You 120 points to the 2-3k to 6k that some guns can cost sometimes is a difference. False Saint, any advances?
No, I mean, just Grassy pretty much covered it. It's I guess it's a shock for us because our meta develops so differently from the Europeans and the Americans. AK-12 has been a staple for our assaults for ages, and that's one of the guns that weren't touched this patch. So you can get an AK-12 with like 5 mags, almost a full ammunition, but the spear, which was pretty staple in Europe and NA for a while, is almost completely gutted. 2 mags, 1 in the gun, 1 spare. It's kind of crazy to see that some things get changed and some things get left alone when they're both pretty strong. You know, but in terms of like your attachments versus ammunition, I think they went a bit crazy. And you see how much Flechette costs now, 120 plus for a round, and then Piranha is I think I might be wrong. It's about 39 points for a Piranha round, and the difference is almost negligible between Flechette and Piranha. So it's a bit crazy, some of the changes I've made. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Sparksy, and then I'm gonna sort of like put a point to the chat to think about whilst we speak to Sparksy about that to come back to. And I think it's that given the way that ammo has gone in the kits right now, I think actually you are choosing too much for ammo pen at this point in time with what ammo you have access to, right? CBJ, for example, for the MCX, is now viably the best equivalent because you're not challenging the armors as much, bearing in mind that there's restrictions on armors now previous to before, aka max tier 5 on Enforcer, tier 4s to tier 3s all around elsewise. But we'll talk about that in a second. Sparksy, any advances on the topic regarding the points for the actual weapon build versus the ammo costs? Any thoughts yourself? Do you think the ammo's too expensive? Do you think the gun building's too expensive? Do you have a different opinion?
I mean, like in the notes, they said they reduced the total cost as well to like 11,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they upped the price of the base, like some of those particular base guns.
Yep.
By like one of them was like 1,000 more. I thought I saw, but like I thought it was just going to be quite hard to just get like 2 mags in some of these kits. But like with these armor changes, you can't run your tier 5 plate anymore. So that's already like pretty much that change. So like, I don't know. Then they got all these new, like the occlusions with the black limbs and flesh damage. So like, yeah, I don't know if it's like when they test in these test servers, I don't know if they like are accounting for all these like little things that might add up. But yeah, like you say, like CBJ with MCX, if you're going to be hitting chest arms, it might still work out in a sense in those certain situations. But yeah, I think like after like a bit of gameplay and a bit of, you know, feel for it, you probably start seeing a pattern of whether or not you need like better bullets or like just a higher fire rate gun at this point.
Definitely.
In the patch was kind of some big changes really in small writing.
That's it. Yeah, that's the big point. Really, is there's the big underlying tone in that small writing in the patch, and you kind of have to look at it in three different ways, right? The text to me read very much, we've reduced time to kill overall in the game as a whole. Therefore, you shouldn't need as much resources to do the same result as you had previously. This is why we are going to meta score back, gun score back, reel everything back with the biggest winch we've seen. And I think the guy on the winch, right, might have had somebody call him over his shoulder for a second, and he's just gone, hello? Yeah, that'll about do, and just hit the lock. Do you know what I mean? I think the guy's just kind of clocked out for about
Yeah.
20 seconds and slightly gone a bit too far with it. Me personally, I don't actually dislike the changes across the weapons on the board and the ammo. I think the overall meta score is what over penalizes it. I found myself going to building an MCX where I chose to build just the gun. Okay, buffer tube stock, pistol grip, extended handguard, SE5, shorter barrel, full 3-part suppressor, 5.53, Defiance front and rear sight. Basic build. Yeah, basic box standard. This is your scout build. You built it so that it runs like an MCX should. That nice, keeps the recoil central build. That's 6,300 points in Metascore. 6,300. That's before you've put bullets in. That's without a single round in the gun. That is crazy. To put 15 AP bullets at the top of the magazine and 15 CBJ at the bottom of it. Each magazine is 1,450 something points extra. That is a quarter of the price of the gun. You're already spending a wild amount, more than half of your maximum metascore on just the weapon. We've not put bullets in it yet. Then you've got to put armor, then you've got to put a helmet, then you've got to put ears and your meds, and now it starts to get a bit wild, okay? I went to the point of building it intentionally so that it was just the gun, just the bullets, armor, a shattered mask. So I wore the worst armor, the Cora Corund, the tier 3 black one that has no changes in it. It's literally just a tier 3 all round. I wore a light shattered skull mask, which is arguably like the lowest end of the meta, is what you would wear as a face cover without wearing a face cover. And I wore Com2s, okay? The only cheaper headset is GSSH's, all right? So realistically, on my armor, my helmet, and my ears, I've taken bottom of the bucket without not wearing something, okay? I've then put the smallest rig on. I've not got 2 stims in my loadout, and I can only fit 2 magazines. If I want 3 magazines, I can have 5 AP bullets, 25 CBJ in the first mag, CBJ in the next 2, and I still can't have 2 stims. If I want to run it realistically with 10 AP at the top of 2 mags, a full mag of CBJ, and 2 stims, aka a Trimadol, and the weaker of the 2 combination, a Perfotorin and a cheese, rather than a Zagastin at the more expensive cost for luxury, it costs me about 11,993 points. 12k. That's my pitch. Hit it in the middle. 13k was too much. 11k metascore is now too extreme on the harsh side. Show me a 12k middle mark, and I think we're in a golden spot for it, honestly. I wouldn't even be too fussed about the totals and the points on the guns or the ammo where they're at right now, short of a couple minor in-situational adjustments on points versus points, right? Like you mentioned there, False Saint, the Piranha to Flechette relevance is the problem. It's not the cost of either of the bullets. It's the gap between the two for the payoff that's not respective of what you think it is, correct?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think previous to the patch, Blackout AP was almost mandatory to take if you ran MCX on Scout. Whereas now with the armor changes, Assault's down to tier 4, Enforcer's down to tier 5 or forced into tier 5. I think CBJ you're going to be your bread and butter round, and I think you're only going to be taking Blackout AP if teams run double Enforcer, which, like we were talking earlier before the podcast started, is probably going to be just the meta. But once they fix that, hopefully they do, fingers crossed, you're probably not going to be running 15 top Blackout APs, and that's probably where it probably works. I mean, when I first booted out the game and started building kits, I didn't struggle with the 11,000 bracket. It was more so the 8,000 in attack, or whatever you would call that, in offense, is where I really hit a wall. 2 mags of spear and 2 mags is about 8,000 points in offense. So it doesn't even matter. Even if I pulled my armor, even if I pulled my headset or my helmet, I can't add any more bullets because I'm capped out on attack.
crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with it. It's the high pen ammunition now just isn't worth at all, really. I don't think.
I don't mind that being the case with the armor going down. To me, it's a case of there's been a little bit of the initial problem has been addressed. We said armor was too relevant in some cases to remove the skill, right? We say that ricochets and that random number generation in those longer fights, that was the problem, right? The overall consensus from the community across all 4 regions was time to kill. Not necessarily as hell. People said Vulcan, people said bullets, people, little bits of different versions of what it was, but it was time to kill. Well, we've addressed that, which I don't disagree with, but I think we've addressed it, and bits on the outside that kind of have not been thought about, that have been left to the wayside, is what we're left with. And it's like, well, we've gone down to tier 5 armor now, but we brought more penetrating bullets in. So we made ourselves more like paper, but then we brought a sharper knife to the battlefield. Do you understand where I'm losing the cohesion between this here? I'm wondering if we're missing the mark. And I mean this with an open mind, okay? With theory crafting and kit building, there always becomes this, you get into the mindset of this is the best method. Regardless of how much you tell yourself you keep an open mind, I wonder if we've just not seen it yet. I wonder if a scout kit is not meant to run armor. Because time to kill is so short, who cares about a helmet? Who cares about an armor? Do I want 3 mags of CBJ? Do I want 4 mags of CBJ and just not run an armor? Do you understand where I'm coming from? I'm wondering if it's a case that we're all a little bit scared of this whole all-round scenario that each kit tree has had access to thus far, that we're not full leaning anymore, because we're not seeing the kit definitions. Assault, a bruiser-style class that trades off ammunition and durability. Scout, a quick-moving, mobile, but very lethal class that is either going to outposition, rotate, or tempo challenge you. Not somebody that's going to win an ego duel. Somebody that is going to outplay or out-aggress you. An enforcer that is not built to win a quick gunfight or to break through a defense, but it is built to hold its ground or to back up an aggressive entry, so on and so forth. And I feel like if we lean a bit more into these kits, I think there might be a different side to the mentality. Not tested yet. I say, unlike you guys, I've had, I think, even less time on the Battle Pass. Let me just point this out, by the way, chat. These guys here, okay, have played 5 hours on the Battle Pass. It's 5 a.m. right now for these guys, which means they haven't slept. That's right. They got up when the Battle Pass dropped. They started grinding and researching and then came immediately to the podcast. So for everybody that has joined us to watch these 3 legends on the podcast today, can we get a little bit of hype in the chat and some appreciation for the amount of commitment from the 3 guys that have joined me today? Okay, so Grassy, OCE, False Saint, and Sparksy, all right? Not just out of bed early, all right? But who needs a bed? We don't do sleep. We're just here to be absolute hardcore gamers. So W for all 3 of the gentlemen here today. And I mean, it was a good reason to do so, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. When I saw the Battle Pass this morning, I was like, well, this is exciting. And then somebody sent me a DM. 150 levels. Yes, please. Yup. That's a fair bit of grind. I can get down with getting home on a night time and going, all right, yeah, time to smash out 6 levels of Battle Pass tonight. Time to go and get my green mask. Although I will say one thing, Slaughter, if you're out there and you're watching, mate, I knew it was you. Second game, we're going ranked. New Dawn Slaughter, all right, jumps over ambulance and jump peaks it on ball with the bright green beanie on. The bright green beanie. He's got his bomber beanie on top and he's got his X goggles on, and I'm like, that's Slaughter. I know that's Slaughter. First round, okay? First round. I've not seen him kill anyone yet. I guarantee you that's Slaughter. I was like, if that's Slaughter, I'm a cry. And then 2 seconds later, he swings curtain and kills me, and it's Slaughter. I'm like, that's great. That's what I want to see. The Battle Pass has brought that unique identity, and I'm like, what kind of a muppet is jumping with the most visible beanbag on, bright, luminous neon green over ambulance that I'm going to see it? I'm like, well, only Slaughter would do that. And it's right. Do you know what I mean? That unique identity to your kit building. Sorry, Slaughter. No offense, mate, but yeah, you know what I mean? It's nice to see that little bit of heat in there, because I'll tell you now, you're all going to notice me from a mile off, because if there's anything orange, I'm going to be all about it. All right? So I'm going to glow like a bright traffic cone. Any thoughts on the colours of the kits, the paints and stuff? We'll start with Sparksy and we'll go the other way around this time. So, Sparksy, have you got anything unlocked yet? And what's been your favourite, I guess, so far?
I mean, yeah, I mean the patch came out and we started just getting our like dailies done. Like even the dailies and stuff, it comes up with the Battle Pass experience to level up the Battle Pass. So we're like, yeah, all right, let's go team fight, checkpoint, let's
Yep.
get this done. But yeah, I think after the dailies and I myself like just started the weekly, it was like just level 9. So obviously the green balaclava, the bright green balaclava, put that on straight away. It kind of looks like a headshot magnet when you're peeking because it's so bright. But just the fact that it's there, I don't know, it's kind of cool because we've been playing forever and it's new, right? And it's just cool, It's a battle pass and just unlocked it, just bought it, so slap that on. But yeah, the first camo for the gun, it should be the first camo for the gun. It's kind of like a yucky color, like a piece color. I don't know. You know what I mean? But like
Is it
that
like
makes sense.
is it
I
the light
put that on the
drab olive?
mutant.
Is it a drab olive?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
like
that's it.
it is right? Okay, it is that light drab olive. Sorry, chat. For those of you at home that are not so familiar with the piss color, all right, with just in case you don't look on a daily basis, Roger. Sorry, Sparks, but it's that drab olive. I'm actually trying to look to see. I had a picture of this. That's why I wanted to jump you there. No offense, Sparks. I've actually got. He says somewhere. Okay, we can't find it. Never mind. Okay, drab olive, somewhere between the green you see behind us on screen, folks, and a mouldy yellow. Okay, about midway between that is kind of the color he's going for. But it's you could forgive it, right, Sparksy, for being just a natural tan color, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the first for arena. It's the first gun skin come out, for arena. So I
Definitely.
think it could be anything, and it's fine. We're just happy to see new content, really. I don't know how much that's been spoken about. When's skins coming to Tarkov, and this is in arenas is literally the first time we've seen skins on guns, and in my opinion, it's kind of cool. I like that they've kept it to their BSG standards and not gone like Call of Duty Obsidian, type skins on their guns. Like they're still doing this fiery mesh and standard stuff, but it's cool to see. So I unlocked that, slapped that on, and it was weird, but it was cool. until we unlock the next ones, can't wait.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a fair bit of grind. I like the fact that it's not too easy to progress too. I initially looked at the purchase parts, like purchase bits for it, and I thought it was purchase levels on the pass, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about throwing 300 coins at just being able to get 12 levels. Then I realized it's actually 12 battle points to buy the rewards from the levels, and I was like, now I like that. There's no pay to win skipping, but you can, if you've not earned enough rewards from your dailies or whatever, and you haven't had the time to that week, you can just, I had 300 GP coins from last week though, grab yourself the battle points, get the bits that you've earned, and still be happy with them. Also, no removal of any bits once wipe goes. W.
Yeah, for sure. It's
False.
good that yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, go Sparks. You cook for me.
Because I don't know. I feel like a lot of the community is always going to be picking out the nitty stuff that BSG decides to do with a lot of things, even main game. I'm sure you're aware on the socials, but like myself, I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason they would be like, oh yeah, it wipes just out of randomness. You know what I mean? But just the fact that they've written it out saying it stays once you unlock it, it's yeah, all right, that's wicked.
Big fire. False, I was going to ask any preferences yourself. What have you found in the battle pass that you've enjoyed specifically so far? Or here's a good one as well. Have you seen anything in the ranks that you've not unlocked yet that you're liking to work towards? Like, have you got your eyes on anything in particular that you're keen for?
Yeah, I mean the new CQCM mask that gives all scouts a tier 3 face shield. That sounds absolutely disgusting. I'll take that. So that's what I've been using, and that's what I like so far. I mean, I feel like that was a bit of an oversight. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, shout out to Lurky, who's our Australian version of Slaughter, who's walking around with a green balaclava on under his masker helmet, looking like a complete idiot. But But in terms of what's in the battle pass, I mean, not necessarily. I think the CQCM mask with the green smile looks pretty cool, but nothing that stands out to me. But yeah, it's all good.
Down for all of it. That's actually nice though. You've not like there's not one thing. I'm sure there is going to be something. I guess in maybe future Battle Pass editions where you're going to be like, oh, do you know what? That really is right up my street. But it's nice that you're not like, nah, it's kind of meh. Ah, it's kind of meh. You're actually, yeah, I could get down with all of this. Like I'm keen to just unlock all the bits of it and try it out. And I actually, not necessarily an oversight. I'm gonna be honest. I think Battlestate Games have done a bit of thinking about this with the tier 3 CQCM masks. I think when it comes to the meta score, I think they like the idea of scouts running around with this tier 3 mask. I actually think they like the idea of that being the meta. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, saying, I'm going to be real with you when it comes to that CQC mask, especially with all the paint they've put on it. It makes a lot of sense. They've put time into making them look really good. They've made them meta relevant when it comes to the armor and the changes in the points. There's a lot of, like, somebody in there goes, I like the CQC mask. I'd like to see it be part of the next set of gameplay, even if it is only for a season's worth of meta. So let's make it a thing. What does give me promise is if that's the way the metas are going to go, okay, that's a nice bit of foreshadowing. The Battle Pass comes out as the patch hits, and we're already given a bit of guidance as to where we should start looking for what's the next good thing. Does that make sense? Like the Battle Pass has 3, 7, 15, 25, 31 levels where you get this CQC tier 3 mask with a new aesthetic on it. We get it, Battlestate. We get it. You want us to run the mask, okay? We hear your shouts, okay? I like that, and I'd like to see the next Battle Pass it be something different, okay? This time around, it's a particular coloured armoured rig, all right? The Stitch V23 Pro is going to become better for whatever reason because its meta score just gets slightly underbalanced that time around. And that's going to be the case for the metas, right? Somebody's going to get the better end of the stick on the adjustments, and somebody's going to get the worst end of the stick on the adjustments, and we'll figure it out on the way. Grassy, any thoughts? Anything in particular you've enjoyed, Battle Pass-wise? Anything you're looking forward to?
I've been waiting since Sparksy started talking to have my turn. Honestly, I think this update and the Battle Pass is just like the land of dreams. The changes, as controversial all the things they've done, the level of creativity you can go into, not making your kit, your gun, your gun skin. Now you apply different paints to individual attachments. You can have a maximum of 3. The level of creativity and the amount you have to think and just the time you can spend is just like a black hole. You could spend your whole life customizing everything, and that's honestly, I really like that. And I think they've made main game players want to come to this. They're gonna want these skins. They're gonna want the gun skins. They're gonna want these skins in main game. I think you gotta play Arena now. I'll be honest.
It makes sense. And would you agree that maybe we've got a couple of hideout managers that might find their way over to Arena? They might not even play a single round of actual gameplay in Arena themselves, but they might spend a fair bit of time, like you say, theory crafting. I found it myself. We loaded up the stream about sort of lunchtime today to try and test out the Battle Pass myself. We got on there and every kit needed rebuilding. So I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. And you get into one kit and you realize even the principles don't work. You can't just, all right, trim, zag. Is that $1,000? Oh, all right, we'll start again. Armor, helmet. It's like $4,000? Right, okay, no, never mind. Okay, we'll put the gun. Where do I go? Now we're at 6K. Hold up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole other concept. And the meta being so fresh. I mean, I'm with Grassy. I'm an ADHD kid that loves vibrant, bright colours, okay? Somebody said to me, here, your sweet shop just got ripped out. They added another 16 shelves, and now you can paint the shelves whatever colour you choose. Go wild. I'm like, oh, yippee! And off we go. Do you know what I mean? I'm in there throwing the shelves about me like, this is great. We'll try purple and pink together, because why not? And I feel like that's what we're going to get. I'm just waiting for somebody to run around with, I don't know, something as wild as like double masker. You know, olive masker, tier 6, MAT, machine gun, tier 4s, front and back. It's doable, by the way. That's the thing that blows my mind right now, is a masker and a masker is not expensive. You add on the machine gun, the MAT, which doesn't need any parts, is its stock cost. And you're an enforcer. And it's BCP. And I'm pretty sure you can fit tier 5 on as well. That's disgusting. That is literally the pickle of nightmares. All right, that is a pickle man with a big machine gun in his hand, and I'm not sure I'm down for that just yet. So there are going to be some crazy combos coming out in the future. Now, it's going to affect the next question, and I'm going to go Grassy first and then go around the opposite way this time. But we talked to a lot of the pros previously from the NA scene about what they like about gameplay. We've asked you guys a little bit about the stuff you liked about the new Battle Pass, but there's also one particular thing, maybe a couple of particular things, I think, for each person that really sets your gears going, all right? There's probably something really starts to grind you off and then essentially crash out, okay? So starting with Grassy, what is it in Arena that makes you crash out the most? What person, weapon, interaction in game, or general just banter really ticks you off?
I mean, I think if you asked False this question, he would say anything would make me crash out. But I mean, the biggest thing for me, which I haven't experienced so far, was just the inconsistent hit counts. The prior to this patch was the stuff that was just out of your control. You could hit a Vulcan once in the throat and it might kill them. You could hit him in the top of the head 6 times, he's not going to die. That would boil my blood. But that seems to have been fixed now, and I'm hoping, you know, blaming RNG is never good, but that's probably my signature move. So
he's killed behind the
hoping
wall
it's
now
better
as his Grassy OC. That's what you heard, chat, all right? So if you hear someone whinging over VoIP in game that he's dead behind a wall, it's probably the bucket man, all right? That's what we're saying right now. Other than that, though, 10 out of 10, right? W. That's pretty fair. I mean, the enforcers were annoying. Definitely were something to crash out over. False Saint, what's your big bug burner? What will have you throwing your compute chair out the window?
Being in comms with Grassy when he's crashing out over things he can't control. He nailed it, right? It's just enforcers. I can't stand them. They've existed since Wipe 1 with the Butcher and the M61 and the SA. You know, Wipe 2, Butcher was still, or Butcher and I think it was called Zenith, the Alton with the BSAK.
Yep.
This class has just run Arena since the beginning and competitive, and it just needs to off. Like,
he's not a fan.
and now they've got LPS out of a PKP. I'm gonna crash out talking about it. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. They need to get rid of this class.
Did you just foreshadow this is the meta of the enforcers? Then I thought enforcers, honestly, when looking at it, were going to be a lot less better off on the initial sort of concept of it. But then, you know, we didn't necessarily, I guess, look straight on into the armor changes or the cost of things. And then when you start looking beneath the surface, you start to realize that running around with an RPK and a fully kitted up enforcer right now without ears is kind of a bit wild. Or, you know, these PKP, PKM, and like you said, LPS. Really?
Yeah.
We get LPS on Enforcer, but it costs me 132 points a bullet in Scout for AP 300 Blackout? Are we what?
That's how I think BSG employees sound when they make these changes sometimes.
I'm gonna be honest, if someone's gonna ask me what makes me crash out the most, it's the cost of the kits. Okay, that's the one thing right now, is the cost of the kits right now is the thing that's getting me ground through the floor. But other than that, I think everything's phenomenal. I've really enjoyed all the changes and the updates, but the one is really grinding me. Sparksy, talk to me, my guy. Where's the burner? Because I think False Saint has made a fair point. I'll crash out whilst my teammates crashing out in my chat about things I can't do anything to fix. It's a valid one, but any raises on the burns?
To be honest, like, I don't know, I feel like I've been kind of on the chill side when it comes to this game compared to a lot of other people. But like, there is obviously the issues, like the enforcer, like being like unbearable sometimes. You think you would be enough bullets to kill them, and then they just look at you like, oh, that tickles. But I don't know. I think, like, to be honest, with like our region being a small region, it gets to a point where you just want to play the game, and you kind of just want to get games going. So like, our region being quite vast in APAC, we just like have all of Asia. We have OCE down here, and then we get games in Asia, and then there's a lot of situations with ping and a little bit of desync that you literally can't control. Like, there's like certain situations where if you're walking like to the right and he's swinging on his right, you won't see him. So
Yep.
it's just like you physically couldn't do anything about it. He's not on your screen, and then like out of nowhere you die, and it's just
Yep.
like, well, like, fuck, man.
Yeah, you get to the point where you start asking yourself the question, don't you? It's like, did I swing a left hand, or am I just getting out swung? Like you can ask yourself like, okay, I'm on a left instead of a right. Really, should I get on the right hand side? You know, give myself a chance to swing against his swing. Should I play all of the little bits on the outside of it? All right, every coach is going to come to you and say to you, all right, you missed a bit, or you could micro it better. But like you said, at the end of the day, when you're in that situation, you're not going to play it perfect every time, and you want to feel like you still have a level of being able to leverage that back in your favor, right? Rather than it just being a straight rug from underneath your feet, you've no chance. I hear that. Specifically, I hear it going into cover. You're playing your life, and you're not being rewarded for playing your life. The argument is, if you're going to die behind the cover, you might as well have just sat there and carried on challenging him and seeing if you headshot him first.
Yeah, pre-fire.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Pre-fight. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I like how I said that and then giggled. Chat. That's very much a yes comment right there. Yeah. Pre-fire. I like the comment from Lurky in the chat. All right. Shout out to Lurky, by the way. Okay. Not only a legend in the scene himself, but helping organize these three gents to be here today. Actually, I think it was initially Lurky I reached out to and was like, "Hi, can plus have people?" And then Lurky was like, "Well, yeah, there's these three nerds that are pretty good at the game. Like they can talk quite a bit and they're kind of funny once in a while." I was like, "All right, hell yeah, let's do it." So yeah, no, shout out to Lurky. Thank you for the hard work in the background. But Lurky's crash out there, I think he was saying, is about the QE leaning, or specifically hearing people weaning about the QE leaning. So is that Lurky confirmed wiggly worm? Is that what we're saying? Is Lurky a bit of a worm challenger?
Yeah.
Is he? Does he like his shoulder leans? Yeah. Oh,
for sure.
He likes his women, and he doesn't like me saying he shouldn't do it.
I wonder, Grassy, who's the better player, you or Lurky?
I'd never say it was me. Ever. I'd never say that. Like, he's got way more hours than me. He's way better than me. I'll be honest.
I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect that answer. I actually thought, regardless of whether he believed it or not, okay, I expected some Aussie confidence there. I did actually expect him to be like, "Nah, it's me. Every day of the week. I won't hear you tell anyone else." Okay, fair enough. Well, there you go, Lurky. You've officially earned the W. Top of the charts there, courtesy of Grassy. False same regards. Who's better, you or Lurky?
I'd say we're on par. I'd say we're on par.
Ooh, it's an even.
I say what I do better than him. He does other things better than I do. We're different play styles.
That's a good answer. Is that? That's a good answer. That's the IGL's answer, Chad. Do you hear that? That was the politics answer. I was smart. A very, very wise man up there. Sparksy, are you a demon? Are you an upcoming talent in the scene, or is Lurky just that little bit better? What do you reckon?
One day I'm gonna figure him out. And yeah, but at the moment in these custom queues and every time he's on the other team, I've said it to him like in Discord. Like I feel like he plays a chess game between me when I'm on the opposite team. I feel like he's thinking about where I'm gonna be, and then some of these like rounds that I play out, I'm just like, why is Lurky there? And he's playing me like a grandmaster in chess or something. I don't know. But we're working on it. Lurky's pretty up there. He's a pretty good player.
I love to hear it. I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I tried my best, okay? I went and fetched the finest antique fishing rod and threw the bait out there for all three players, and not one of them bit. I'm going to be real. Every single one of them, the utmost respect for their competitors in the scene. And I'll be honest with you, I love to hear it. I'm not going to complain at good words. Although at some point, I'm sure somebody out there is going to have a little bit of, not beef, shall we say, but I'm sure there's going to be somebody that's very, very keen to express or prove that they have a better skill level than maybe the common concept. Either that or you're all just too damn humble, all right? Every one of you is telling the truth, and the skill level is exactly how you say it is, and you're all just being very real, which, any which way, I'm very grateful for. Now, we talked about crashing out and getting frustrated. We've talked about the bits you guys have enjoyed. We've also talked about the new Battle Pass. Before we look on into the future, let's talk a little bit about the past, because you guys got to participate in the Christmas event last year, which is the first time I think maybe the EU, the NA, the CIS region really had your you're seeing properly put to the masses for the first time in a while, right? It's the first time you guys had featured in something that was necessarily, I guess, promoted around as heavily as we expect.
Second, I think.
Second one, right? So remind me of the first and you're on about first ACS though, right? Aren't you? The first of all, it was the first. No.
We had a HPL for, I think it was 5,000 euros, like April last year.
Oh, am I cooked? Did I miss this? Am I cooked? Surely
No,
I
you
cast
cast
this.
it.
No, I cast
You
this.
cast
you
it.
did.
I am
It was
cooked.
team
I am
five.
absolutely cooked. There we go, chat. You see, a year's gone by. You'll have to forgive me. No, sorry. So yes, the second outing since we had you guys back, but Christmas. No, yeah. So in a while, about 8 months between it, right? It was about March, April time we had that.
Yes.
May? I don't know. It's been a while. Okay. Either way, good to see the guys coming back. But that one for me was one that really sort of defined the region as a whole. The team fight HPL coming in from Connor is the one I'm smiling at because it was still the team fight. That's why it's been back. The
Yes.
first team fight HPL, yes. Where AXO, this is all the way back full circle. So this comes into the other point. Here we go. The ADHD brain is catching up now. So, not first time we saw them, second time we saw them at Christmas. Been a while since we'd seen them, which was because the previous time we had seen them was when the AXMC had been in a previous state of having that AP bullet in the game. Now we're back full circle, and the point I was going to ask you guys is, given the Battle Pass changes and everything else that's going on, where does this Balti sit right now? And the reason I'm asking the question, chat, is because they gave me a secret little tip in the background right now, and I think you're all going to be very interested to hear what they've got to say on this one. So we'll go Sparksy round the other way this time. Do you want to, or does anybody want to take the lead on this? Want to talk about the snipers? Who's considered the sniper professional out of the three? I guess. Who's the sniper player?
None of us.
None of you guys, right? Okay.
I've been using it, but
Yeah, still none of
I
us.
Sorry,
I think that the fact that Assault is on tier 4 now, and I mean Enforcers still can get tier 5, and then the meta scores are a bit lower, and there's a bit of working around. And then in the patch notes, there's these new bullets that are not even in main game that are penning tier 6 and 762, 51. I'm not sure what the pen is, 50 something on that or 60. The fact that they're not even in the main game and they've just brought it to arena to they've quote like one tap chest, and the fact that Assault's on level 4, and I've been like, we had a few hours of the battle pass and I had the M700 and the SV98 leveled up with some pretty decent ergo on it, and it's been pretty fun. And these new bullets are feeling quite nice, and I don't know, I think like this, I assume the Enforcers something's going to happen, but with these Enforcers, and then I think Marksman is going to be at another level now. Marksman has always been I feel like in the ground, at least for our region. When we had the VSS, there's like a few people using that. I don't think EU ran it, Marksman. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. But like the last HVL, the Pua, the new sniper came out. And now that we got these new bullets and we got some high ergo on these SV98, I feel like it's gonna make a bit of appearance.
Interesting.
I feel like it's gonna be good.
I'm curious as to whether people are going to split it map versus map. I like the Seiko. I like the TRG, the M10, whichever one of the three names you want to give it. The short Seiko, all right, short barrel, short handguard, nice ergo built with the hook. It's small enough to work on Bay 5 and 4. Like the weapon length, the barrel length itself. The SV98, that's the one thing that I get a little bit hesitant on, is how long that weapon is going to handle in some of the closer quarter maps. And therefore, I feel like maybe Bowl Skybridge, SV98 is going to fit into exactly that group, like you said. I wonder if we're going to see as much of it in those closer quarter maps. Bearing in mind, the reason I say that is the previous argument would be, okay, I'm not going to play a marksman instead. You would go, I could just have an assault weapon and be better in close quarters anyway, rather than just shortening my barrel. I could just full go into the argument. Don't think assault's really there right now, actually. Personally think that marksman as a kit in comparison is a much stronger choice, even with the disadvantages, and I would argue it's essentially a 2 enforcer, 2 marksman won whatever the heck he can make work at this point in time, feeling like for comp setup, right? Grassy, any thoughts on that?
Well, you're saying Assault's feeling a bit iffy. I'm
Mm.
gonna double back. I'm gonna double down on the AK-12. I'm
Oh,
thinking
true.
that's even better than it was before. It's 7N40. You run 3 mags on it. I think specifically that gun on Assault is better than it was before, and we were already running that. And Connor mentioned before in chat, our region loves the 2X.
Yep.
We use that a lot. You can use Elkin on it now. Valde. That is an assault option now. We haven't toyed with it, but see, some people might grimace to it, some people might love it. But I think that assault certain guns, the previous meta ones have been kind of shut down a little bit, but the ones that haven't been used as much are still very viable, and they should be explored because that lower armor, that tier 4 all around. So I think it's in a good spot.
I'm going to offer you one counter, okay? For those of you out there that like a good-looking weapon and don't like losing half of your sight when you lean left and right through an Elkan or a Valde, Night Force, 30mm rings, and a Razor. Okay, it's expensive, yes, or a Voodoo, or a TAC 30, but personally, if you're going for that 1x4x, the Valde and the Elkan Spectres, for me, I would say, given the pace of the game in Arena, that loss of scope as you're leaning is too much. You can't afford it. I would be very curious to hear all three people's opinions on the desk on this one, because I think this is where we would heavily disagree. But I find that you guys know what I'm on about, right? The Valde, for example, you cross and you lose a good moon out of the side of your scope from a lot of movement that just becomes black, voidless vision. You don't see through your scope anymore, right? The TAC 30, the Voodoo, the Razor, a lot less of it. Still present, but very minimal in comparison. Thoughts?
Who let this man cook? Send him back to the kitchen. I think it's worth giving it a look. I think APAC as a region, our meta's a lot slower. Like with my work with New Dawn and scrimming some of the American teams, they're a lot faster paced. They're very burst heavy. They burst onto site, smokes and util use within the first 15 seconds. APAC didn't grow like that. Our region's a lot slower, a lot more methodical, a lot more execute based strategies where smokes come out, flashes come out, nades come out to blow up angles while you're clearing others. It's very I think that's why we adopted the 2x and it's part of our meta. So I think it could be a cook. I don't know. We haven't really tried it. But it's probably okay. But I double down with Grassy. The AK-12 is probably the only option really on Assault, but Assault was kind of got gutted. I mean, Enforcer's the best. Assault was always second. I think Enforcer's been dethroned. Assault's been dethroned a bit. But yeah, it's AK-12 or bust, I think, on Assault if you're playing that. But yeah, I think you're right with the double Enforcer, double Marksman, maybe a Scout.
I like the thought process, and it actually makes me relate to the previous decision-making process with the meta score overall, where we've gone from one extreme to the other. It feels very much the same. The concept previously before this patch is Assault was king of the crop, right? It's very much the overpowered class for the all-rounder of what it got. Had the best weapons in class, Spear, HK, your AK, and your SA-58 if you wanted to run it in that. The four like real big dogs in that assault class, and all four ran exceptionally well. You add your Ash 12 into there. It was, I mean, you really were dominating out of an assault class, and you would often argue in a ranked game, 2 people, 3 people would either be fighting for an assault or fighting for a scout pick. You didn't have arguments for Enforcer and Marksman. I think the exact opposite is going to be said now. I think people that want to play Enforcer kits are going to have to be click on the buttons to lock in their kits. I think your Marksmans are going to be the next drained class. And I think you're going to find a lot of people take a very long time to realise that Assault and Scout shift should be to Enforcer and Marksman. You get into a ranked game and a guy looks a little bit lost. Pull up your scoreboard, and I guarantee if you look below his name at the moment, you're going to see Assault or Scout, probably running a similar old kit. So, word to the wise, maybe reach out to your friends inside of the game and nod them in the right direction at the moment. Let them know that the meta has changed. Things are different. And on that note, we're going to take a very subtle cue to slide on out to an interval, as it's time to go and get a drink, take yourself to the bathroom, go stock up on your snacks, and get yourself ready for the second half of the podcast, where we're going to go a little bit deeper into the mindsets of these gentlemen. We're going to ask them what weapons are currently their favourite, what they currently think is the worst weapon in the game, what they would do if they were to put two weapons together and make a creative one to wreak havoc on the world with, what idea they'd like to see for maps in the future, what they think about current maps if they could design one of their own, and some questions from chat before we close out the podcast and get into some gameplay for the rest of the evening on the Battle Pass and send these merry gentlemen on the rest of their day. Yes, not to bed, well, maybe to bed, depending on whether any of them have actually slept between, but we'll discuss that one right after this. So don't go anywhere too far, folks, because we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you for being here, and we will see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 4 of the Welcome to Arena podcast. This week it's APAC Battle Pass Bonanza. We are absolutely joined by 3 legends from the APAC scene, and not only is it just 3 legends from the APAC scene, but it's at an obscene time in the day. That's right, these guys have been up since the Battle Pass got dropped, grinding away, researching, so that they can bring their wisdom to the podcast today to share with you guys some tips and tricks so you can get ahead of the game when it comes to playing Escape from Tarkov Arena, and also give you an insight into some of the awesome people that take part in the community from the APAC side of the arena scene. Remember, it's not just the regions that we get to see from our side of the pond, that's right, EU, even the NA stuff that I get to flirt with every now and again, working alongside them, but there's also the CIS region and the APAC region out there in Escape from Tarkov competitive arena, and these guys are 3 of the guys you need to be paying attention to, okay? Earlier on, before the interval, we were talking with Grassy, Sparksy, and False Saint about some of the bits and bobs that, you know, they're kind of cool right now, different options that you've got, the drip, the bits that you can unlock through that battle pass, and then maybe some of the thoughts regarding the meta score. We've just spent a couple of minutes in the break, as well as having a breather, talking between ourselves through a bit more of the kits and some of the cooks that we've got coming up in the background. And I don't know whether I wanted to start off this next section with a question, gents, or whether I guess we just open the table to the 3 of you here as to which topic you'd like to talk about first, because we talked about a few things, but I'm going to be honest, I think the Kector might just take the hat for where we start off with the talk on this one. And I know False Saint's going to smile, so I'm going to hand it over to False Saint. Talk to me. What's happening with the Vector right now? What's the thoughts?
I think it's a cook. I think it could be a pretty strong gun to use in this meta. I mean, with arms going from 70% multipliers to 100% multipliers, 1100 fire rate, 66 flash. It's got enough pen to go through tier 4 pretty much consistently. So even if people run, like you were saying, canted sight, arm bug meta, it's just gonna melt. You know, it's that gun. You know, in APAC, Sparksy alluded to before, we deal with a lot of ping. We verse people from China, from Japan, from Korea. Pretty much everyone's on 200 ping at all times. So 1100 fire rate to pre-fire is pretty nice. I think that gun, and the bullets aren't that expensive. You know, considering Flechette went to 150,000 points a bullet or whatever it's gone to. I think it could be a good look.
It's another one that's interesting as well, because it's another gun that doesn't require too much. The 45 Vector, even arguably, okay, and I'm going to get thrown out the kitchen for cooking wrong again by False Saint here, but the 9x19 Vector also could fill a similar role, depending on how PvP lies, because it is definitely, I think PvP is on the more expensive side rather than the cheaper side when it comes to bullets, but the 9x19 could have a place in that. The 45 Vector specifically, though, you don't even need a rail on it. You slap the front handguard on straight away. You put yourself a sight on the top of that bad boy. You really want to get fancy with it? Oh, okay, you can snap the stock off and put the adapter on. You can have a red tube, and you can be a bit fancy about the birthday candle. That's fine. But there's not really much else, is there? I mean, you really are putting a maximum of really 1,000 meta points into the overall build. So we've talked about the restrictions. There's not much room to play about with the rest of your kit, so having very minimal put into the gun does give you a better comfort, I guess, for the rest of the build all around. How do we feel about stims right now? Because they haven't moved in price. Inside of the meta score, I think it's a good adjustment. We've seen people running, 4 stims, so they can, on Fort, for example, run mid, jump up onto that box that goes up to heaven without needing to vault it whatsoever. They can get enough stamina and strength with the skill levels plus the stims to go past the max cap, and it allows them to jump that box so you can get up to cult, and you can go down into cult to cut an A site push off extremely quickly while still holding control of mid 4B if it was a B push, but being able to abandon it immediately because of that jump. Instead of having to vault, that double stim just allows you to jump and you're off and on your way. So little bits of tech like that, I think, is a lot for 4 stims. And I'm not sure that's how the map design was intended. Does that make sense? Like, I think that Battlestate as a whole probably have tried to attack that from a level so that there's less room in the kit to have those 4 stims as well as something else. Thoughts?
Agreed. I think stims, like 4 sets of stims now, would be like a niche where if your strategy required you to make it into cult early to cut off you could run it, but with the meta points coming down 2,000 total, you don't really have the luxury anymore to take as many stims as you want. I mean, there was a point where a lot of our players would run Trimidols, and then some people were giving it up for morphines just for the extra points to spend elsewhere, and now you're 2,000 points lower than you were. So
Do you think that's going
could
to
be hard to
become the
apply.
choice? Do you think that's going to become the swap out then? Because that's my biggest cost right now, I think, in my mindset about that kit is it's half 1,000 points. It's 566 points for that Trimadol. It's your painkiller. It's your infinite stamina. It's the increase in your skills as well. I get it. It's a very expensive stim, but you do get a lot for it. Would you rather be dropping the Zagastin or the Perfotorin and extra combo to keep the trim? Or is it actually better, do you think, now? Do you reckon that the infinite stamina's not as relevant because time to kill is less? Does that make sense? Like, people aren't going to be walking away from fights as much. So you don't need that, oh, okay, I can run around the map and flank and rotate somebody. Because personally, for comp gameplay, I like the mobile style. I like teams to be able to make a decision and go, right, screw them. And then it's just a massive switch from the A site to the B site. They go all the way around the outside because they have that capability and the team has to respond. Are we going to lose that gameplay from this change?
I don't think so. I want to say the four stims, those kind of combos, the ones that play into your niche roles will be harder to run. But I think the standard stim combos, your meds, are not actually changing that much simply because, as we spoke earlier, of the metascore limits for each section. So you've got your armor, your ammo, and then your meds. You're capping out on the ammo on most kits that you have. There's no more you can spend. You have to spend them on the armor. There's only tier 4 now, so you've got that. You have to put them into meds, and I think the Trimadol is become such a staple into everyone's like strategies. As you said, the fast rotate is something even we do when we're playing. It's a very strong strategy that I think that people are going to want to keep that, and I don't think it's really changing too much besides the niche situations where you need to run maybe that 3BTG, you need to run the extra stims for the strength, stuff like that.
Okay. Thoughts, gents?
I
Any
think it's
extra?
also, I think it kind of ties into like competitive versus ranked as well, right? Like in competitive, I think you could go along the lines of maybe having 2 people or 3 people keep Trimidols, because generally attacks would, you send 4 to 5 people one site, you have one lurk another, that player wins the second site, you only need a second player to cut off a mid rotate, and now you don't even need the Trimidol because you've got all the avenues covered. Defenders can't rotate, so I don't think you need 5 Trimidol in competitive. I think in ranked though, if you're just playing with your friends, I mean, you probably still need to run those sort of combos to do it yourself, I suppose.
I see what you're saying. You don't necessarily need that run around potential because in ranked where you could find yourself left in a 1v3, 1v4 quite commonly if you're in the less skilled team. If it finds that you are one of the better players on your squad, you are that guy commonly left to clean up the mess as such. That's when you really need that ability to move, I guess. Whereas in the competitive gameplay, short of everything fell apart, which I mean, don't get me wrong, we love seeing a turnaround and so 4v2 and suddenly it looks more like the two are going to win the round. We love that, but how far does it have to go that it's so out of the realms that you did enough work early on that you're not getting anything for it? Does that make sense? Like, oh, well, we can just, that's fine, I'm off over here, cool. No penalty in stamina, the guy's hurt, you haven't got pain meds, so on and so forth. So, interesting concept. I think the give and take of how it plays out is very much going to be shown in the near future. I mean, there's a lot of action coming up tournaments-wise, right? And speaking of action, I wanted to actually take the moment here to sort of diverge a little bit away from the Battle Pass and have a little chat about something which you guys mentioned to me in the TPL. How have you found the TPL? Thoughts? Give us a little bit of knowledge about what the TPL is, because I mean, I'm aware. I'm sure some of the guys in chat are aware, but maybe not everybody knows what it is, what it does, and what it really represents. So talk to us about that, because the first season, I believe, came to a close just recently, and a brand new season just started, am I right?
Yeah, so TPL came about when I think False was aware briefly, but I was talking to Blitz ago. I'm sure you know Blitz. Go and
Yep.
see Castle games all the time. Blitz is a very good friend of mine. Shout out to Blitz. But Blitz has kind of been a bit of a guardian angel for our region when it comes to what's happening. And info about Arena. And I was talking to Blitz and I was saying, oh, I can't find games. Classic APAC, it's been, you know, I'm in the west side of Australia and I can just play Russia East. It's like a little bit better than the East Coast. So I was like, I can't even find games on Russia East. And Blitz was like, everyone's playing TPL. I was like, what? Blitz was like, yeah, TPL is this like custom queues and just they pretty much just started, blah blah blah, and got an invite. And there was this situation where it's kind of blew up, and NA was like, yo, let's get some custom games going. These guys are getting games constantly, and we can't even find games in our region. And then NA was queuing these EU servers and Russia servers on TPL and these custom games. And sure you can imagine the subject got brought up. Like, there's these 200 ping players on our queues, and it's kind of it, you know.
How's this
Blah, blah,
guy
blah.
shooting
That's
me
how
on ball from Skybridge? Why did this guy just shoot me in the top of Skybridge heaven from Bay 5? What's going on? Yeah, he's so far into next week's schedule when he swings you that you've not even thought about breakfast before you've put your kit on and he's rammed you back to the bench. Yeah, rough, right? So it got handled well, though, because it split really quickly and it
Yes.
became 4 sets, right?
That's it. So like when I joined as NA got its own queue because of this. I assume, they didn't want like NA being in these EU servers, the hyping. That's what I assume, right? And there was a lot of NA. That there's that much that they got their own queue. And I joined and I was like, this is cool. And like people are I think like one of the main points is people were coming forward with donations and sponsors for these queues. And with the Neat Queue bot that runs the queues, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of how 10-man queues work on Discord. Like, they've actually got these sponsors and donations for the MMR system for the top 3 people. And being Arena and a low player count for a game, people also just wanting to play games and find games. It was pretty, in my opinion, good incentive to like play. A little bit more keen to play, so, bit of a prize pool. And I put a ticket in and I said, hey, like, we exist. Hello. We have our own Discord. We play like our own custom views, blah, blah, blah. We got people in Korea, Japan, China. We play in our own little league down here in APAC called OAL. I just seen what you've done, and I was wondering, would there be any chance of getting an APAC queue? And then within a few hours, they're like, yep, we'll get on it. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't need much convincing, so I had to like let the boys know and Arena OCE and like our little community, that we got. And everyone was, everyone was pretty down for it. And, a lot of people were like, yeah, if we can get custom queues, let's do it.
That's the big thing I think for your region. I'm actually going to ask Saint on this one, and then we'll rotate into some from Grassy because all 3 of you play TPL, right? I'm assuming nods of the head that everybody's playing TPL. No, you're not playing TPL, False Saint. No. Talk to me then. Go on then. So what's your perspective on this? Because I do think TPL does a good job, like especially for a region. When we've spoken, all right, in Discord, especially after the HPL event at Christmas, you guys expressed definitely at times it's hard to find a game. You just want to get on and play a few hours with the playing Tarkov, and it's not a thing. So that to me seems like a good thing. But thoughts? What's the process, Saint?
I would play. I've played Arena every day since December 2022 or whenever it came out, and I still play competitive. So every week we play OEL. So I'm still there for that. I still scrim competitively. Playing Arena every day, 5 hours a day. I needed a break, so I decided to skip this season of TPL. But that's the only reason I'm not playing.
Okay,
Otherwise, I would definitely be in TPL. Yeah.
Do you enjoy the concept then? It's definitely a good thing to see.
Yeah.
And the one thing I think that Sparksy mentioned that made me quite proud as a person being involved with this kind of stuff as a community member of the whole is, and I think you'll agree with this as an IGL, right? From that perspective where as an IGL, when your players are doing well, you want to praise them for doing something good. I like the fact that the TPL Discord has that support system that's in there, but there's an actual text channel specifically dedicated to, thank you to these people that have reached into their pocket to help support this. Like there's an actual it's not like boasted and bragged about everywhere, but there's a nice section where that respect is paid to the people that have not only joined and played the TPL but have invested a bit of their time in there, and it gives that thanks back, you know. Tip of the hat to ABCD people that have contributed in making it bigger, and it also shows the rest of people that might be interested in the contribution and stuff, like legitimacy, all the standard questions before you start throwing money at somebody that you're not so familiar with, you know. These people before are proof of the pudding, right? And many people have supported this and are backing this. You want to get on board with it as well. So, you know, it's nice to see that represented, I think, in the Discord, right?
I think I speak for everyone in APAC when I say that we come from a region that doesn't really get much love from even our own emissary. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, they're just not too keen on helping with arena or whatever it is. But to see people from the community just reach into their own pockets and help, or just spend time to assist people or talk to people or help randoms with queues and stuff, it's really nice. So it's nice to see that they get some recognition.
Love it. Love to hear it. Grassy, TPL, you keen for the season? Are you taking top spot?
Definitely not taking top spot. That's all lurkies right now. But look, it is a really good thing that's come to our region. We've had those custom queues in our own Discord for a long time now. Like ever since season 1 when the queues started dying in OC, we made that. But this is just that extra step forward, that extra competitiveness that we've kind of lacked in our region that people really want, and bringing that here, and the support from the people that run that is really welcomed, and they're really doing God's work to help our region. And as Vol said, we haven't always had the opportunities, and just anything we can get, being on this TPL, any love from anyone is like much appreciated.
I'm going to tell you now, the APAC scene is always welcome on the Welcome to Arena podcast, that's for sure. I mean, I'll give you guys 2 things already, folks. And I mean, if you've just joined us or you didn't catch it, either of the 2 times we've mentioned it so far, all right, it is ridiculous o'clock. No, it's stupid o'clock right now for these guys. And it's been ridiculous o'clock since when the Battle Pass dropped, and these guys have been grinding away at it ever since, okay? So just merely taking the time to make it work, where we are able to keep the podcast on a consistent schedule for you guys, same place, same time on a Wednesday in the evening as we've been used to it. These guys have moved their schedules that far to align with that. I owe them a massive thank you for that to begin with. And, you know, the guys out there, they really do want the community to interact with their scene more, folks. Okay, that's what I want to get across with this. I have bumped into this community of gamers, the APAC scene, on 3 occasions now, okay? Minimally worked with them the first time for HPL. I just cast the games, okay? Didn't get to speak to them that much. Second time around, I got to spend, like, I think it was nearly an hour in the Discord afterwards, where we were all sat with, good God, on nearly 40 people, okay, inside of a channel. And they really, really are keen to get you guys involved with this APAC scene so we can try and get that enthusiasm, whether it be to the emissary, busy with other things. We've got to try and show that the passion for this APAC scene is definitely worth it, and that we can try and help getting these guys on the screen as much as the other regions when it comes to representation, okay? Because personally, I am a massive APAC fan, and not one interaction with any single person from that APAC region has ever left anything other than an amazing feeling. So I can't, you know, we are 100% glazing right now, but I want more APAC region stuff, okay? I'm being dead serious. So it's W to the commitment of these guys, and they're always down for a good time, all right? Some of the banter we've had about kits, I mean, False Saints thrown me out the kitchen 3 times in conversations over cooking already, okay? And I love to hear it. I love the contradictions, all right, folks? So first things first, Grassy, False Saint, Sparksy, now is the time to do a bit of promoting, okay? I'm going to permit each one of you for 60 seconds in the chat. I'm going to give you a 30-second heads up now so you can go and get your links ready. Get your socials, your Twitters, your team socials ready to be able to throw into the podcast Twitch chat so that everybody can go and follow these guys and get up to date with their personal stuff on the streaming, their team stuff when it gets televised, and anything they might be doing events-wise. And also, just to say hi, yeah? Once in a while, if you're an EU competitor and you're on Twitter in the morning and you see False Saint's got a post up because he's been practicing something in the evening, just go by and say hi. Say hello, the EU region notices you, all right? And we're gonna start creating that bond, folks. Okay, so starting with Grassy, we're gonna go with the permits. Grassy, fire away on all those socials. You've got 60 seconds, sir. The clock starts now. If you miss your time, the bus is gone. There's no second bus today. It's your one and only
Like on
chance
a
to get
game show.
cooking. That's it. Go, go, go. Mr. False Saint,
Pretty much.
you're going to be up
Only
next.
on-
You get a lucky one, though. Go on, cook away. So that is Grassy on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. If you take 2 seconds, get yourselves into YouTube. Drop him a sub. Check out all that content. As well as that, you have a Twitter page. Boom, there's the Twitter. Guys, it's almost like I knew it was coming. They don't call me crack for nothing, all right? Get on the socials. Go check out Grassy and make sure you're locked in. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be False Saint. He's not very false, all right? I promise you that much. He is prevalent everywhere, all right? 60 seconds, Mr. Saint. Your time starts now. Cook away. Talk to the folks at home. Twitter in there.
I mean,
X.
yeah, there you go. So there you go. Not much to say.
We've got to get these guys better on self-promoting, folks, all right? This is False Saint on X, all right? He's an absolute legend. He's got an Ank set as his icon for Discord, all right? If you want to see False Saint magic, get on Twitter, drop the notification, be locked in for when he's posting stuff there. I'm sure you're going to have many a gun builds to share in the future, right, on Twitter, False, maybe? Any thoughts? You're going to be posting some builds out for the folks? Yeah?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I'm always in the kitchen.
There we go. All right, so you want to keep an eye on the lab. Look for False Saint. I'm telling you now, Cracked Wisdom is telling you a wise choice is to keep an eye on the False Saint kitchen. He's got some good ideas in there, okay? And not to just mention that, but the YouTube as well, folks. Get a sub out to False Saint. YouTube content there for you guys to check. And then finally, last, but absolutely not least, okay? We can't do that to the poor man on the bottom right here. It says, permit Sparksy no matches. Are you not in the chat right now?
It should be.
Oh no, how do we spell his name?
Do you want me to
chat?
give you a message?
Yeah, send a message. Never mind. Got you. Bosh. There you go. Boom. 60 seconds. Go, Sparksy.
Well, not on Twitter too much, but I do stream casually and occasionally, but bit of a main game player. So like, yeah, I'll be on Twitch quite a bit as my main source. But other than that, there's my Twitter, and I'll post, just Twitch on the chat for you.
That's how you do it, folks. There's a little bit of a he did at least sell himself slightly. What hours do you go live on Twitch for? Are you a daily streamer? Is it like 3 or 4 days a week? Give us the rough schedule, and then we'll come back to Grassy and to False Saint, because I'm sure these guys stream on Twitch a little bit as well, right?
Well, there's an ongoing joke with me personally where I say, oh, my schedule's not good, and it'll be 3 a.m. I'll be going live. And then people in the chat will be like, what do you mean schedule? There is no schedule. You just stream whenever you want. But yeah, as with Arena coming out with this Battle Pass, and hopefully there'll be some actual matchmaking going on. You probably could catch me live very soon. The Battle Pass and all the new skins.
Well, there you go, folks. Catch a Sparksy stream near you soon. Saint, have we got any streams planned in the near future? Do you have a regular schedule?
I used to. I tried my hand at streaming, but it turns out to be queue simulator in APAC, because you're in queue for 45 minutes at a time, and then you're in game for 5 minutes because everyone disconnects when they see that you're B and everyone else is D+. So, yeah, I mean, with the Battle Pass, I'm hoping that the queues are pretty instant, and I can probably try my hand at it again for sure.
How about yourself, Grassy? Are we a streamer? Do we stream consistently? Do you have any hours, or are you a DGen hours like Sparksy? I like Sparksy's schedule, by the way. That's my kind of schedule.
Definitely on the DGen hours. Don't do much streaming, but I make a lot of montages. I'm all about Twitter montages, YouTube montages, putting my clips together. It's something I just like doing in the spare time. When I'm not playing Arena, I'm probably making some graphics for the competitions or making some content for my Twitter or YouTube. All about the montages.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. I like myself a good montage too, I'm going to be honest with you. There's one thing that's good to wind down. You get off your PC at the end of the day, but your brain's not quite settled. It is nice to just pull up somebody that's a little better than you are and to just flick through watching them dome people with some cool jump shots or whatever. So, yeah, any montages, I'm sure I'm going to be checking out the Grassy OCE compilations in the future. Thank you to the gifted subs in the background whilst that was going on. Sprit, you're an absolute legend. Appreciate you. Guys, if you receive one of those gifted subs, don't forget to say thank you. All right, always good to pay dues where they are highly deserved. And welcome into the library, folks. We're getting a little wiser today with the APAC region. We've come in for some Battle Pass Bonanza because the boys have decided to get up nice and early to educate us. Now, a question that has crossed my mind, okay, and it's not necessarily one prompted from anywhere, but False, you ever considered doing any castings, any commentary alongside some gameplay?
Generally, I would actually like doing that, but because I play on, AXO, generally I'm always playing, and I can't cast. But I'd try my hand on it for sure.
Chat. Anybody get any thoughts for a False Saint cast in the future? Because I think we might need to make that happen. I actually think one of the ways that we definitely could immerse the two regions a little bit is it might be a little rough on your bedtime schedule the one day, False Saint. I will warn you in advance, but I feel like we could maybe look into this. I think I have an idea in my head that's cooking that we might have to get
I'm
you
on
involved
board.
in. Yeah, he's down.
On board. Yeah.
All right, chat. Now I'm gonna lock this one in. Let me just put a note in the notebook. Okay, we'll put this one down in the book. It says important book as well. Okay, important. Yeah, priorities. All right. Just gonna put that one down in there. False Saint cast. Okay, to-do list. Roger that. Duly noted. And on that note, we're gonna actually rock on into our final topic of the day before we lock up, and allow these gentlemen to continue their normal lives. For Sparksy, this is going to be standard. About this time, he would get off DJing hours and I guess go to bed. For the other two guys, it's going to be a little bit awkward, so we'll figure it out. But jokes aside, and Sparksy's BM thrown definitely out the window, shall we say, as he doesn't take my head off for that one. Weapon choices, okay? This section of the podcast is about instinct, all right? I want to see your gamer skills on hand. Okay, I don't want you to overprocess it too much. I want just first thing that comes to the head. Okay, I just want to know off the top of the dome, Sparksy, what's your favorite weapon right now?
Oh, it's funny because a new patch came out like a few hours ago, and everything's changed, almost everything.
That's it. We caught him on the hot rocks. That's why, because everything's changed. Go
To
with your
be
heart.
honest,
What's the feeling?
what I've been feeling recently when I just seen this patch and these patch notes and all these changes, I did look over to the marksmans and I looked at these new bullets that are only in arena with the 60 pen on the SV98, and I don't know, being able to scope in and not have overswing, and then someone swing and then it's just dead. I don't know, I could jump on it and implement it into my play style. I feel like I'm very game sense heavier
Okay.
in terms of aiming, like in knowing where everyone is and how to play it out to get a 1v1v1v1.
He's
I
a
feel like
lurker.
good.
He's a lurker. He's 100% the lurking play style. That's the
This guy's
mentality, isn't
a
it?
lurker. This guy's a lurker. You'll do it better than me. You'll do it better than me. But if you got a scope and you got one bullet, that will just do it. You don't need to spend 100 points on every single bullet. You can just spend 150 on one to get the kill. I don't know. I feel like with this whole shift and all these changes, I'll probably just have a look at the marksmans and these new bullets.
Ooh, okay. False Saint.
Tier 4 on
anything?
assault doesn't matter.
I got 3 for you cracked. If you're new to this battle pass, you've got to try the Ash 12. You've got to
Okay.
try the PKP and Enforcer, and you've got to
Okay.
try the 45 ACP Vector. Those 3 guns are insane right now.
There you go. Okay, I'm actually going to pop those. Tell you what, pop those in the chat for the folks at home.
me.
Recommended 3, and then we're gonna
Right,
then
we'll
we're gonna
do,
talk to check them in the chat. Post 3. There you go. Recommendations from the man from the lab himself. Okay, the king of the cooks, the kitchen master. All right, Ash 12, the PKP, and the mystery machine itself, the 45 Vector. Now, Grassy, enlighten us. What's happening underneath that dome? What's cooking underneath the bucket?
Honestly, right now, if I was gonna hate me for this, but the MP7. I've always wanted that gun to be good, and dude, I used it a little bit today. It's something. Easy scoring. I've done something. Shit.
Why'd you say it?
Get this
Well-
man out of the kitchen.
And I was banned for the kitchen for way less than this. I am disappointed. Okay, chat. I am disappointed. I am not a fan of the MP7. I'm not going to lie to you. That thing does not kill people. It has never killed
No,
people,
no.
although I'm expecting the argument to this to be top tier, chat. Okay. I will entertain logic, okay? We'll leave the floor open, okay? I'm going to coat it in a slick oil coating, and Grassy's going to tiptoe his way to an explanation here. Or we're just going to slide him on out of the podcast, all right? We're going to go from a 4-screen to a 3-screen. It's going to be me, False Saint, and Sparksy cooking for the... No, talk to me. Give me the logic, okay? Tell me the pros and the cons. What's the thought behind it?
First off, expecting logic from me, not good. The quote, the thing that the known for me is you can't teach being smart. All right, I go by that all the time. MP7, I'm the opposite of these fellas. I just run it down. I've got pretty good aim, and that gun has 0 recoil, and I can put as many bullets as I want down on their head, hopefully before they've seen me. And that's all I want. That's all I want.
And just hope they don't react in the first 25 bullets it takes to kill them.
Yeah, look, when we were in that last hero and you had the PKP kit, I couldn't kill you, but I was still having fun.
That's your teammate, False.
You can have fun. You can have fun spectating your teammates when you're dead.
Do you know what? I'm going to let False say and fight my arguments for me from now on when it comes to the NPC. I don't need to say anything. This man's on the right mindset, I'm going to be honest with you. That is a controversial opinion. Zaki from Sicario, though, probably would be on the same mindset of you, Grassy. I mean, Sicario's team ran the MP7 through the last meta and still made it feel kind of relevant. I think MP7 is a person weapon. I feel like it's very much in the same sense as an Ash 12 is, where if you've played with that gun for a little while and you got to grips with the weapon, you're capable with it. But if you didn't really ever sort of try it out, it's not just one you can pick up and be that good with it. I don't think it's that freeload on the aim in the same sense as the AK-12 is. So I'd be curious on your opinion, because you like both the AK-12 and the MP7 in this state. Which do you think is naturally the easier gun to handle?
Well, this is hard. The MP7 is arguably the easiest gun to use, but you're gonna have to hit the heads. AK-12, you're gonna be still rewarded for the body shots. So I'm gonna root for the AK-12 here more, just on like a user friendly overall, but it doesn't get any less recoil than the MP7. I'll be honest.
Is he coping, Saint?
Oh, he's 100% coping. He's 100% coping. I think you got certain players that their aim is just that good. You could give them a wet stick and they still make it work, right? It doesn't make the gun good in the hands of an average person. I think you need to hit someone. You need to shoot them 45 times over 3 business days, 6 different mags to kill them once. It's just, we were playing last year just before we joined the podcast with you, Cracked, and I was running PKP and he was on MP7 and I think he killed me once in 10 minutes. So it's just not. It's I don't think it's that viable right now.
Did it feel like he was shooting bullets to set a down payment for the last hero you're going to play after the podcast? Is that where we're at right now? Yeah. Like, oh dearie me. Okay,
he's investing in the future of the next last hero. Yeah.
I can see it. I do wonder, because all right, Grassy, enlighten me. Give me the MP7 specialist wisdom here. APSX damage.
Don't run APSX. Right,
what you run?
I'm running FMJ. The APSX will not one tap the head at a far enough range. If I'm using that gun, I'm aiming for head. It's okay. I can't do that. I can't do the AP, but the FMJ, I think with the tier 4 armor, you can spam it. You get the throat shots in sometimes. I don't know. There's something fun about it. It might not be good. It might definitely is not good against enforcers, but there's something about it.
But I like the adjustment that you made. I think you made a very crucial point there, and this is where I think False Saint's point becomes more prevalent. It's that sick aim. Like, you know that hitbox is your primary goal on the MP7, not this, which is what most people are going to assume when we talk about weapons as a whole, right? Is that hitbox there, the visor, that's your, that's where you're aiming for, right? But you've got your letterbox, which is theoretically your best shot because it's either center of mass or it's the lower part of your head, which is a headshot and it's got no cover on protection whatsoever. So I can see the chat getting a little bit feisty over the compliments on the throat shots there, which is no surprise at all coming from a name of Hellcat. But we're gonna slide on and keep the heat down for the time being. Keep the ants out of the pants, because I think otherwise everyone's gonna get nervous about the back shots that will be coming up due to the no back plates in the future. Oh, we all seen that one coming. It's sick aim versus knowing how Tarkov works, I guess, too. There are going to be some players with this Epic Games release coming very, 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 very soon that they're not going to know, right? You've never had experience with main game. You come into Arena and you've got these armor plates. You've got ammo versus armor plates. And People are going to shoot people at the head, and they're going to be like, I hit 3 times in the head, and they didn't die, the game's broken. And they're not going to realize that that's a ricochet chance. And you're going to be like, okay, man, come here, Timmy, come here. Yep, okay. So here's Pythagoras' theorem. Yep, here's Einstein's equation. Yep, slap those two together, and you get the general bullet dynamics for Tarkov. Now do a bit of guesstimating of plates versus ammo, and remember all of the hidden values of each of the bits that you can put on the weapons that give it a little bit extra. You're a Tarkov pro. Easy life, right? Because there's a lot of intricacies, and this is something that I'm very curious as to how the game is going to handle. We'd want to see the game develop. We want to see it grow. I think the Battle Pass and I think the Epic Games release is going to be a good step in the right direction. With it's going to weather some growing pains, such as the new player experience. How do you think the new player experience is right now? Starting with Grassy, going around the table. And do you think there's any bits you'd like to see changed in the future to help that?
Look, I think anyone that comes to Tarkov as a new player, it's going to be rough, but that's the core of the game. But in Arena, they're expecting a little bit more 5v5 shooter, thinking more maybe comparing to Siege if they got no knowledge. It is going to be a huge learning curve. Building your kits to every single attachment, the level of customization is a lot, and it's kind of uncomparable to other games, the amount of the elements that play into one kit. So I think new players are going to need to rely or find their way to the Discord servers, the people that can help them, because ultimately Tarkov is a helpful community most of the time.
Fair. I think that's a good shout. False Saint?
I think it's horrible. I'm going to be real. I think the amount of times that I get DMs from APAC players where they've been in queue for 45 minutes waiting for a match and they just can't find one, and then they think that the servers are dead, they think the population's dead. On the flip side of that, they solo queue as a brand new player and they verse a full stack of pro players and get absolutely ass blasted, and they don't want to touch the game ever again. Not understanding. I mean, if they're brand new and they don't know Tarkov fundamentals, healing's complicated, and I think it's kind of rough. As a brand new player without touching Tarkov, coming to Arena is hard.
So, my thought and question response to that before we check in with Sparksy on this one is, what do you think that the APAC region content creators, community, Battlestate Games emissary and connections, or people that just do their own that aren't necessarily attached to Tarkov or Battlestate Games directly, what do you think the community could provide the general population more? Is there a way to do some tutorial videos like, hey, welcome to Escape from Tarkov Arena. This is how meds work. Is there a way to do like 5-minute videos? Does it just need that one person to really take that next step and be like, hey, it's time to do a how-to arena for blueberries?
Yeah, 100%. I think the larger content creators we have aren't too fond of Arena, and I've been in quite a few fights with some of them about it. Got told to pack my bags and move to America or Europe like every other pro and get out of APAC. But I think, if people, kind of getting twisted over my own words here, got on board with us and worked with us to help put out some content to help players, I think it could be really beneficial. Or use their platforms to inform people more about Arena. Definitely help.
Okay. I like that. There's a shout out in chat. There's Nitex, I think it was, such an asset to the OCE community with his videos. Actually doing God's work with the kit guide. So there you go, folks. If you are an OCE player and you're looking for an OCE mindset, should we say, on what you might want to do when it comes to building your kits and you'd like some tips, there is somebody out there by the name of Nitex. It's one that's actually new to me. So what I'll maybe do is I'll get that link from one of the guys to their content by the end of the podcast. And those of you that have been keeping up with the podcast dates and times on Twitter, I'll actually post that as a resource for you on the Twitter page soon, so that there's a link out there for Nitex for you guys to go and have a check out of those videos. Because I actually agree with False Saint in this one, and Sparksy, depending on your thoughts on this one too, I think just a little bit of guide, like you say, just a simple, this is how audio works, because that's another big one. People stood on a spot silent that then quick pivot, give a massive audio cue off, but think they've been dead silent. Just something as simple as that, for example, is a good one that you can pick up, little tips and tricks. So yeah, an interesting one. But to reiterate the question, I guess, for the audience, whilst we've been sidebarring a little bit, thoughts? Current new player experience, Sparksy? Could it be improved?
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, what False and Grassy said is pretty much what I agree with, 100%. But like a, a lot of arena camp coming out after main game is like a big factor because everyone knows Tarkov from main game. And then if you want to get these new players that haven't actually heard of Escape from Tarkov, let alone arena, it is going to be rough, like these lads said. But yeah, what these boys said, 100%. But also, given like our discords, I'm sure False can say and reiterate, like I think this man has been in over 100 calls with randoms and our Discord saying, no, this use this armor because, and then there's all these little facts that you didn't know about, you know, side plates, soft armor, blah blah blah, this ammo, blah blah blah, distance. There's, yeah, like I said, there's so many little things when you build your kit attachments. But yeah, if you're gonna get these new people from Epic Games and fresh to the game, thinking it's a 5v5 game, Siege, CS, whatever, it's going to be very different from what they're used to. And yeah, even if like BSG have been slowly coming out with main game tutorials and their content with how things work in main game, it could even be good for, I don't know, maybe just a little reiteration of arena and kits and points, and could go on forever really with how the whole game works because it is
You,
a very complicated game.
I mean, you make a good point, and I was thinking about it as we were discussing the question: is what could we install a tutorial mode? Like, would there be a way to, a practice mode where it goes in and it just runs you through the basics of tab opens your menu. You can use numbers to
Yeah.
hotbind your meds to your hotbar. This hotbar can be accessed without having to open your character menu. Whilst using your meds, you can press and hold the button to allow a drop-down menu to choose specific limbs to target with your meds. In addition, you can do this with magazines and other parts of your kit, including grenades, so on and so forth. A very simple, talk it through, a visual representation on screen of a person physically going through the motions, opening the tab menu, hot binding a med, using the med
Yeah.
without the tab open, just a step by step and a nice basic. Okay, good thoughts, and I like to hear it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Even you
Final,
just saying that, like, just to mention, you just saying that, like, the firing range in arena is this nice open space. If like you're fresh and you just installed the game, select USEC, select your name. If you just went into the firing range and, like you said, just had that option, shoot the target. This is a gun. You get a jam. Do this. As it would probably be a long tutorial with all the things in the game,
yeah.
but even that would just be a good start.
You
Like
reckon?
like a lot of games, you start in the firing range and it says walk to the target, crouch.
Flashbang through the door.
Like yeah.
Is that a very familiar
think, yeah.
video I know about right there? Did I hear a little bit of a reference? That was a cultured one, was that? Do you know, here's the process though. You said it would be a long breakdown, right? How about a 3-tiered system? Your basic intro tutorial, basic about meds, how to reload, how to toggle on and off a laser, how to change a sight. Basic. Your
Yeah.
intermediate, you have to have played 5 basic games. You do your basic tutorial, and the other tutorial is not unlocked yet. Okay, you just do 5 games. You get to grips with the little bits it gave you. Then after 5 unranked games only, yeah, you get your next set of training, which is maybe toggling fire rate, as well as hot binding the meds and selecting a limb to med. You do that, you give them another 5 games. They have to play another 5 unranked games, implementing that little bit. And then you give them the full blast. You go, okay, now you've got guns and jams. Bung, jams, bung, different meds have different options. Maybe even show you the kit selection screen at that point before you go into the third tutorial, and it actually shows you the custom building of a kit. Maybe that's the third tutorial part is, right? You do 5 unranked games, you get your intermediate tutorial. You do 10 unranked games, you get your expert tutorial, and it unlocks you access to custom kits. Meanwhile, it immediately prompts you a quick kit building screen which says, hey, ba-bum, 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 metascore, and that window that we already have when you first log on to the game at Wipe that tells you about the metascore and how your kit should be built, that comes in there. That,
Yeah.
honestly, Hyras, let's get a production going. Let's get the project lined out, and I think the 4 of us will cut you something up. It sounds like a great idea, honestly. But no, all thoughts for the future. And realistically, the reason I'm asking this question very close to where we're going to round this out, folks, because that is us bang on the hour for the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to hold these gentlemen for any longer than is necessary for all of their wisdom. So we are going to round up shortly, but the new experience is going to be a big thing that's going to be tested in the next couple of hours. I mean, our timing seems to be epic there. False Saints power's taking him off. Gone to the darkness for a second, but no, it's all happening tomorrow. Okay, there's a big thing. I can't say anymore. It's happening tomorrow, so you want to be checking out the ASPL channel on Twitch. Okay, the Arena Semi Pro League channel on Twitch has got a big event going down for the Epic Games Showcase. I'm sure the Battle State Games has got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow, so don't forget to swing by their socials, check out their stuff on X and on Twitter as well. Same thing. I keep forgetting that the two are the same. It's one letter and it confuses me every time. But a final thank you to the three gentlemen that have joined me here today, guys. Okay, Grassy, OCE, False Saint, and Sparksy, who took time out of their day at a ridiculous time in their day to come and join us for the podcast. Guys, let's get some W's and some hype in the chat for the three of them here, okay? Not only have they been amazing guests on the podcast, all right, but every single interaction I've had with them has been top-notch, okay? They represent their scene with the highest level of respect, and I cannot honour them, honestly, enough for the way that they present themselves, and I think everybody really, really does need to get behind them in trying to get them more involved with this community as a whole, and I'm going to be standing at the head of that charge with my daft cap waving in the wind saying, you know, this day we fight. We're all going to be there. That's it. Paul's saying 07, 07. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us for the podcast today. This has been Grassy, OCE, False Saint, and Sparksy. I have been your one and only weirdo with the wisdom. That's right, cracked wisdom on the Welcome to Arena podcast. Thank you for being here, and we will look forward to seeing you next week.